me see if I can get this out a little bit quicker, a little more concise. So I want to point some stuff out. Let's just check this on the day time frame. So there really what hasn't been a buy on the day time frame yet, as we can see. We haven't hit the target that we wanted to hit. And this is why I think structure leading up to these things is always really important, because what we actually can see is we actually do practically hit our target, but we do it on the day before. So there's no reason, in my opinion, to be in this. And there's a lot of weakness on this because we actually touched all the way up here. Now we haven't even touched all the way down. So yesterday I left off saying I wanted to see it obviously start above. I want to see it come down. I want to see it end above the 4 hour. But one thing we didn't have here, and it is known to like jamoke above the 4 hour. I do recognize that. Um, but on some of these times it actually does try a decent amount. But the key thing here for this is that because there is a difference between some of these other days, and the key with this is that we're trending down. So essentially, what we can see is like it's so stupid with the nuance of this stuff, but we actually hit here on the 1 4 hour above, and so we actually started the day at like 18.93. So and then we trended up, and then so we get to this spot, but we never test back down. So there's a couple issues here. We have the trend line on some of these shorter time frames that we're fighting and bouncing at now, which makes sense, but we don't have the strength from actually hitting the day time frame. And now we also are just back under this, and so we're going to have to get back above this. And if we just draw this just as a general idea, in a sense, this isn't the best, but this is more or less what it'll look like. Um, we need to hit down here, but then we need to hit down here and get back above here. We hit here yesterday. We needed to hit here today, not yesterday's candle, but today's day candle. And so we can see like this just looks ugly. To me, this isn't a buy spot. This is a FOMO spot because we never hit down here on the day time frame. Now it doesn't look like it makes a big difference here, but like I said before, when we look on the day candle, we can actually see not only have we not hit the trend line, or not only have we not hit this line, but this line comes or meets up where this trend line is as well. So we haven't hit the trend line on the day time frame, nor have we hit the target that we want to hit on the time frame. All the while, we have all this pressure on top of us. So this looks really ugly. So we'll see what happens. I'm not super worried about it, but I'm not in it, but I 100% wouldn't have even entered into something like this. And I could show Ripple and some of the other ones I was talking about, and why I wouldn't be in Doge, and like what I was waiting for Ripple. But you can see those in the past days. So anyway, what this looks like is obviously it seems like we have a pretty big gap here, because even on this time we never came down to the trend line here when we pushed down yesterday, which is understandable, kind of to an extent. Excuse me. But it's just really sad to see yesterday at 4 o'clock that it used the strength of this spot instead of waiting till today. Anyway, so what we really want to be careful of is obviously we can see this wedging, and to me, what I imagine is going to happen is that we're going to push down here on the day. We're going to end under a mat. I don't know what's specifically going to happen, but the way this looks like, it gives me the idea that the markets are going to drop pretty hard tomorrow with Bitcoin as an indicator of that. Now, I don't really care. I'm still looking, as you can just check on the Friday update on the 23rd. Just check that one, and you can see what I was thinking about that in regards to what I'm looking for if I expect us to drop. But this is like the perfect setup for it because as always, this puts us in a place just like here where we start right under. It gives us where we have the whole channel to fall down. It's like the worst possible spot to start because you're gonna have the most pressure pushing down on you. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. Wanted to get that out pretty quickly. I don't like this. If it can touch here and get back above, then I think it's okay. But at the end of the day, let's not forget this is off a cliff. These lines were here. See where the 4 in the day meets here? That's where this comes from. You see where the week meets when we first come down? That's where this line comes from. I don't remember where this one comes from, but I just left it here for so long. If you can check like BTC comprehensive update, you'll see because I have like a bunch of videos showing how I did a lot of this step by step, or what I was looking at when it fell. I think it's like from it falling here all the way up to like here pretty much. Um, but yeah, so these lines have been here from the beginning. So, and they've been holding up fairly well. And this is also a strong trend line. So like we spent 1 month under resistance here. And the only time we almost got out was with a BART trade. And we can see how ugly this was. It literally just came down, no support here, or no like no accumulation here whatsoever. Just bounce and then test, and then we fall under. So very very ugly. And we can also see the sketchiness of this here. Um, so we get a BART trade. Everything else is just boom boom. And then we go here. We can see the same kind of stuff where So just to keep that in mind. uh, Bitcoin itself is just reacting horribly, and what we wanted to see anyway for this to be good, um, we wanted to see a bounce. So first of all, I don't ever think it's good for things to start too high up or too far under. That's why we see this and it pushes up this, and they have a tendency to push back up when they come too far or they start too far, and there's no like smaller trend pushing down on it. Now, so that's one kind of issue that we had here yesterday is that we have all this trending down to do, or all this room where we can trend down before we hit this stuff. So it's really sad. If we hit here, I think we would have hit here earlier. Maybe we hold here, but it's all based on the market anyway. So it kind of is what it is. I think this looks horrible. I think it looks like it's going to break down on the micro. But for the macro, nothing's changed here, right? Nothing has changed whatsoever at all. And we can just go here one more time, and then let's just scroll down. I'm so glad I have this, just because it used to take me forever to find some of these videos. Um, uh, uh, okay, no, that sounds kind of okay, that sounds kind of sketchy. 1 second, let me do this. Okay, it seems like things are never that easy. I don't want to risk messing up my recording and losing like another 11 or 10 minutes. Anyway, we can pretty much see from here. This is just from the start. I just like to reiterate this to pound the idea away again and again and again and again. So obviously down and down. This did have a deviation, then boom, and then we can see when it comes under. So right, and we can actually even see here, just to kind of point this out. Oh, I do catch this. I stopped doing this a while ago because I don't like saying. This kind of made me like not like saying down, down or up, because I just like explaining the nuance of it. But we can see here even on this 4 hour, where we have the averages, right? So it would be right here. You see how we come under and push back up to it. Same kind of thing I've been talking again and again. But anyway, let's just get through this really quick, because there's not like the importance of this isn't every specific thing on it, because this is still supposed to be looked at with multiple time frames. Okay, but anyway, right? So just to show, like, it's not like I just adjusted something here with the other stuff recently. I mean, this clearly was under here for a month with a BART trade being its only hope, and this was clearly under here for 2 months. So we're not in a it's not in a great position for anything. Let's just kind of get that out of the way. Okay, so let's just kind of look at Dogecoin, and we can kind of see why those look pretty ugly. I don't remember what Ethereum to Bitcoin looks like. Um, I do know I didn't like that we didn't start above here, so I'm not surprised it's here. It could be pretty decent, but it's going to have to hold a lot, and I just don't see it happening because Bitcoin's bad. So here, the main reason I didn't like this, and I wouldn't have purchased anything here, is is because we didn't start above. So I mean, to me, it is a little bit surprising that it held up, but I don't expect any sort of continuation. I'd have to see a bounce and end the day above a little bit higher where it is right now, and then kind of switch over. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of, excuse me, ugly things about this that just make it look bad. So this looks ugly, but we'll see with Dogecoin and the other one and Ripple, they look much worse. Let's see. Why is it so hard to find stuff? Here we go. Oh, my bad. Okay, so what we can see with Dogecoin real quick. Oh, Dogecoin to US dot. Wait, where's oh, yeah, okay, Dogecoin USD. Let's just check this one out real quick. We were seeing this. We saw on the 4 hour. Boom, boom. We can see on the 2 hour. Looks pretty nice here also as well. We get this bounce. Doesn't come back. So we can just check here. And what we've seen, we went over this the other day. That's why obviously there's no point to be in this. And the specific thing is with such a beautiful bounce here, I am always highly cautious of these places because we had such a beautiful bounce that looks strong. A lot of times it'll lead to stuff like this that creates a strong top, or not like a strong top, but like if it fails, it's a strong top. This is a strong bounce. A two doesn't just pass through a four. This was a four, I would say maybe it's okay to buy in these areas, but I don't see the reason to go against patterns, right? That just work, that usually just work. So this isn't too surprising that we're coming down through here. I don't know why they're buying it so much here, but if they're brain dead to buy it here, why not buy it here? I mean, they're just, I mean, you can just clearly see, you can just clearly see they're not winning. I don't know what's going through people's minds here, but they obviously just don't see it, I guess. Um, this, I don't know. It's just crazy that it can be bought that much underneath something. Anyway, so none of this is really surprising, especially because of this. The only way I would have liked this, I think I mentioned it yesterday, is we need to end a 4 hour above here with some sort of smaller time frame trending up, or like any time frame trending up. I don't really care, but it has to prove itself. So we'll see this. This is usually a recurring theme. If something looks really good, almost always it'll pass through the other time. Now, things could happen. Dogecoin can come back, and this could be a decent bounce because we'll have a lower low. But at the end of the day, it's still the 4 hours the best place to take it. So going to Doge to Bitcoin, we can also see, I think at the day time frame, geez, dot to Bitcoin. Why do I keep clicking the wrong one? We can see right here, this was a big no. We push all the way up here, which is inherently already bad because we get a lot of buys and sells out. I mean, a lot of people's positions are kind of taken out. But the big issue is, and I'll just say because this wick, even if, so one thing, okay, so this is bad for what I just said, but at the same time, even if we do start here, it does apply a certain inherent weakness because a lot of targets are already taken out here, including the target 34.44. So, like, the best thing probably in this situation with a high wick is to see a day start here, take an aggressive position, or the best way to not lose money is to then look for some after a day starts above is to then look for nice price action above this level right here, 344. It just doesn't look like that's going to happen. They can fight for it now. It's not something I want to be in. Like I said before, I remember, but this looks like this could come down to like 312, something like that. I think it's less on here. I think it's like 313. 312 still looks decent, so it's at 328, but we can just see how weak this kind of is and how it's hanging off and how I could see this really turning up, but there's no way I'd buy it here expecting it to go up whatsoever at all. Ever. No way. No way. And let's just go to the Ripple for the last one. Nothing about Ripple so far has been surprising. If you remember what we want to see, week time frame, we want to see the week start above here. So that's going to be this next day candle. So it makes sense from that position. I think it's looking great so far, as good as it kind of could. We can just see this really, I mean, it's not a huge deal. It's not the best. It's not really like that. But I'm just going to draw it like this. But we can just see this really beautiful cup upwards. So it really needs to hold. The one nice thing for people that want to be bearish on it is that it's like we're not above it yet. And we did get this pretty big buy up here. So this will kind of help. There's probably some shorter term trend that's pushing down. Yeah, I mean, this is quite a bit on it. So at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want to get too much into this because it's not really that complicated. We want to see a weak start above. It looks like it's a really good cup so far. I think it has a really good chance. But I also don't like stuff like this popping up and then shooting back down before. So this definitely could have a huge effect on it. But I think we can see at this point, and I'll end it on this, that if this can just trend back up and end a 4 hour above, this just looks really strong. Now it'll continue to push up. I don't know if it ends above, we'll do it. I don't know, but it looks like it has an insane chance to. And right, like if people are just going to sell down on stuff, it kind of is what it is. Now I think it's important to kind of recognize where some of these other places are. We can see um, we can see Ripple to Bitcoin also looking pretty good. So from this perspective, I'd also like to see, if possible, a 4 hour start above here at the same time. I'd really like that. So this could be something that does diverge from Bitcoin a little bit, but a lot of caution will need to be had because like e- we still haven't touched the day where we wanted it to touch, and now we're pushing back up off of something that I believe is a weaker level of support. So if people are still waiting for it to come down here, we're now going to have this cracking down on the shorter time frame. We're going to have it the fact this level was kind of used the day before or 4 hours before it needed to be, which kind of takes away from this. And then we're going to have this trend line pushing up, and if it fails, coming back down on this. So if this gets set up in a bad place, I'm usually sketched about a lot of these things. The market will really be kind of a bigger determinant of where we go, but where this is set up is just very ugly in general. So I hope this was kind of useful for that. Ripple could go up, um, but I'd like to see some of those things. I'd need to see the week start above, and preferably I'd like to see Ripple to Bitcoin start up here, because to me the reason why I'd like to see Ripple to Bitcoin also start above here, which I don't think these two are possible to happen at the same time, to be honest, because this is 6% up, and if Ripple goes up 6%, that takes it all the way up here. And the reason why I'm not a huge fan, and I think it's kind of less likely, is because Bitcoin looks like it's in a really sketchy place. And for Ripple to Bitcoin, for these two to converge, Bitcoin would have to drop like 3%. So it is possible, but Bitcoin will already have dropped through. Now, that doesn't make Bitcoin horrible per se. If this happens before the day, if Bitcoin was to drop through, um, because then we'd be looking at, I mean, it's pretty bad. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's really bad. But let's assume Bitcoin drops like 2% or something. And that's kind of what that pulls Ripple to Bitcoin down, but then Ripple to Bitcoin goes up like 6%, so it's slightly above that fib level on Ripple to Bitcoin, right? Because we're trying to see what these things would do in conjunction. So we could say this is going to kind of come down to here tomorrow. So this would be in this position a little bit under. We could maybe see it getting caught here and trying to push up. Everything looks really bad. If the stars aligned with it like this, I could see it. Um, and Ripple could get like another bounce up, but it's playing with fire at this point, and it's kind of like a next level kind of thing. Trying to get free cheese in the trap isn't always the best kind of thing to do. There's a high chance it could be tradable, but it's just going to take a lot of skill, I think, from a trader to be able to do this and manage this, because there's a very fine line here, in my opinion. And a lot of this stuff, the higher time frames we get on, are just not good looking. Um, they just aren't. So we'll kind of see what happens with that there. That's just something if someone wants to check it out. As of course on Ripple, didn't hit up here. This is the day time frame though. This is the week. Um, we're looking to get strength from the week. We don't care about it hitting the day time frame ultimately. It's not gonna. It almost hit here anyway, and I don't expect it to hit here or even come close to this again if we can't start a week above this. So it's possible. These are kind of the two things to look out, starting above the week here and this, but I just wanted to kind of go into it more because a lot of this stuff isn't just, oh, if we start above here, then we go there. Oh, if we start here, we go there. There's a lot of nuance in like shorter time frames and things that happen that create this and that make things look good. I'm going to be honest, even from here, I saw in the longer time frame, we started our days under here. I didn't like this either whatsoever when I was looking at this on the day time frame, and I was just looking at it. This is really ugly, right? We come above, but we do start here. I do actually kind of like this a little bit. On the short time frames, it looked ugly as heck, but this is ugly. I don't like the day starting there now. Looking on a shorter time frame, I can kind of see why after some of these points, only because we drop so low. But there's a lot of ugliness here. I actually really like what this is right here. This is kind of one of those perfect examples of what I was talking about with Bitcoin is I really like this. This should not have failed. And when this came back down, I this is just so ugly because this is just so beautiful. This is really, really, really nice. This stuff like this, if this fails, to me is an SOS. So I understand why this started going up here and here, but only once it came down so far and it just rejuiced. So anyway, that's just kind of that for Bitcoin right now. There's no stocks open, so obviously no stocks. But yeah, it looks like an SOS more or less. We'll see what happens, but It just looks pretty sketchy. I just want to put this out, talk about some of the nuances. Anyway, I'll see you guys later night for the week change. Peace.